And what is up, everyone? Welcome back to a special episode of the Renegade Roundtable podcast here. I am Jeffrey Kirby. As you can see, we have a familiar face, also known as Bossman Sanchez, aka Jarryd. We also have a couple guests with us. One is making his debut. One is you've seen in here a couple times. We've got Hunter. He's been in here a couple times. Hunter, what is good?
What's up, y'all?
And making his debut on the podcast. Not the first time he's been on the channel, but first time on the podcast, we got our boy Herb, aka I is Herbert. Herb, how the hell are you?
What's going on, guys? Happy to be here.
This is a big show. This is something that we have been planning for a little while now. And Justin in here says, "What up, ladies? I hope the Steelers take Ligma."
I wonder who that is.
Yeah.
Justin.
So, yeah, obviously, we are going to be revealing our mock draft 1.0s today. It's going to be an absolute blast. This is always one of my favorite shows of the year. It really is. And I'm excited to be here with everyone else in here. And here we go.
Let's do it.
All right. So, who wants to start it off here? Who wants to reveal their first overall pick first? All right. Mr. Hunter, he wants to reveal it as first. So, Hunter, take it away.
All righty. So, I think this is pretty obvious. But with the first pick, I have the Chicago Bears trading down. I have the Indianapolis Colts trading up to the number one pick here. And with the first pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, I have the Indianapolis Colts taking C.J. Stroud, the quarterback from the Ohio State Buckeyes, my college. So go Bucks. Here's the thing in this situation. I think if it's any other team in this situation, I think Bryce Young is the likely pick here. But we know how much the Indianapolis Colts love C.J. Stroud. And we saw the performance that Stroud put up at the Combine. I mean, he was incredible in the Colts house. So I think if it is the Colts here, which I do think we've seen in press conferences, Jim Irsay has said that he's ready to pull the trigger. He will do whatever is possible for them to get the franchise quarterback they need. And I think the guy they really want is C.J. Stroud. So I think if they trade up to one, which in this case they do, I have them going with the Ohio State quarterback.
Real quick, before we add on to that conversation, we have a comment from Justin here that says, Anthony Richardson equals Malik Willis 2.0. He ain't good.
Don't give him any attention. Justin, I'm just kidding.
Okay. So for me on that on your pick, yeah, it's not a surprise for the most. It really does sound like that Chicago is going to trade down. And it's not a bad idea at all. In fact, I think it's actually a good idea because regardless, especially with Indianapolis, that is the perfect place to go because no matter who you want defensively, for the most part, you're going to be able to get them because you know that Houston's going to trade up to number 2. So it's a matter you can acquire extra picks because let's be honest, that team is god awful, and they're going to be able to really make some moves not only in this draft, but they'll be able to affect next year's draft as well. And I don't mind. I like this. I like that idea for Indianapolis going after C.J. Stroud, which it feels like they really are in on C.J. Stroud over Bryce Young.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree, man. You know, I ain't do any trades, but it's most likely going to happen. But you never know in these days.
Herb, you got anything?
No, it's the same thing. I unfortunately have that Ohio State quarterback going first overall. It's just C.J. Stroud. His performance at the Combine really blew me away, aside from Anthony Richardson's Combine, who, might I add, I don't think he's Malik Willis 2.0. I have a lot of hype and believe the hype in Anthony Richardson. I don't like the comparison to Cam Newton. I think he's more of the Josh Allen build, just more mobile. But, yeah, I do have the C.J. Stroud going first overall to Indy.
All right. So, Jarryd, who do you have going first overall?
Well, with me, I didn't do any trades with this mock. I went with Will Anderson if the Bears don't trade. That's the obvious pick if they decide not to trade. Personally, you guys would agree. Best player in the draft.
Yeah, I like the pick, especially if the Bears stay at number 1. I think after what Jalen Carter has been through, I think it kind of knocks him out of the running for number 1. And obviously, we know that the Bears do not need a quarterback in this situation unless they pull off some wild thing and trade Justin Fields, which I hope they do not do. So, yeah, Will Anderson is the right choice here. I think Will Anderson is going to be very, very good. So, if the Bears do stay at number 1, I do think Will Anderson is the pick.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't really do any trades in mind, but I also have them going with Will Anderson from Alabama. Like I said, we don't know what's going to happen with Jalen Carter. We really don't. But that was, this Will Anderson going number 1 was always going to be an option to begin with. And it was always the matter of, do you go inside help or do you go outside help? And this was before the whole thing, right before the combine. And you felt like going inside would have been the better choice because it's harder to find a good interior guy rather than is to find an edge guy. But, I mean, they were 32nd in sacks, or they were 32nd in sacks. They were dead last. They were 29th in total defense, 32nd on third down, 32nd in points per game allowed. You get, in my opinion, the best player in this draft. You said what?
That's really good.
That's really good. Those are some good numbers right there.
Yeah. Yeah, they were god-awful last year on defense. So, yeah, you go and get yourself, the best player in this class, and you build around him for years to come in that defense. All right, second overall.
Did we all pick the second pick? Come on. Second pick. Who?
Did Herb? Who did Herb say? I zoned out.
CJ Stroud.
You went with
that's
CJ
right. You
Stroud.
did say that. Yeah, because you were like that Ohio State quarterback. Yeah. Okay. All right.
So I think we'll just all go ahead in 3, 2, 1 and just say who the Texans are going to be. 3, 2, 1.
Bryce Young.
Yep. Yeah, they were 31st in points per game, 31st in total offense, 25th in passing offense. They need a quarterback, and you bring in a new head coach in D'Amico Ryans, Nick Caserio. They need to bring in their new franchise guy, and in that division now with Trevor Lawrence in there right now, it seems like they are the leaders in that division. But let's be honest, we don't know what Tennessee is going to be like. Apparently, we don't know what they're going to be. Last year, they were god-awful. The Colts, obviously, they're going to be going, and a couple of you guys, they already have their quarterback, so you need to get your quarterback in the future, and you need to build around him. And with that 12th pick, we'll see. Maybe they go and get a receiver. Maybe they don't. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I agree. I think Davis Mills is still the answer in Houston. So I don't like them taking Bryce Young, but whatever. I mean, don't give Davis Mills another chance. I guess that's fine. No,
okay.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, this is the obvious pick. So.
All right. Moving on to number 3, the Arizona Cardinals.
All right. With the third pick, I have the Arizona Cardinals trading the third pick. And I have them trading the third pick to the Carolina Panthers.
Shit.
And with the third pick in the NFL draft, I have the Carolina Panthers taking Anthony Richardson, the quarterback. You got the same pick, don't you?
I got the same pick. I have them trading for Anthony Richardson.
Now here's the thing with the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals have a lot of holes. Kyler Murray is going to miss more than half the year with an injury. It looks like they're going to trade DeAndre Hopkins. Let's be brutally honest here. The Arizona Cardinals are going to suck next year. I mean, they are going to be a bad football team for pretty much the whole year. And honestly, who knows how good Kyler Murray is going to be when he comes back. And if he comes back later in the year and they're, at the bottom of the league, which they probably will be, he might not even play next year. So I think the best option for the Cardinals would be to trade back, get some more draft picks, move down 6 spots. And yeah, I think the Panthers, after seeing Stroud and Young going, I think possibly they think, okay, maybe Seattle possibly could take Anthony Richardson at 5, and then Will Levis maybe go before them. And they don't want to miss out on a quarterback, so I think they jump up to 3 here and take the Florida quarterback. And I think Frank Reich gets his guy. So I think quarterback goes top 3 picks.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, I do see, and like I said earlier, I don't see the comparison to Cam Newton, but I do think teams do. And Carolina, seeing that there could be a Cam Newton 2.0 in that draft, I think really jump up to take that risk to grab their guy. As much as I don't think he's a day one starter, Carolina needs something to help fix them now, and they're going to take that risk.
To add to that as well, the way I look at it, so I actually do see the comparisons with Cam Newton, and the reason why I say that a lot is because to me, I see the more of the comparison with Will Levis and Josh Allen, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But with Anthony Richardson, to me, I like that comparison because of the way that they throw the football. It seems, Cam Newton, it seems like a lot of his stuff was just hard and on a line. And sometimes, and with the accuracy issues, Cam Newton would sometimes miss high. And that's a lot of what we saw last year. And even at the combine, me and Hunter were texting throughout the combine, and all of his misses were always high. And that's kind of what really made me reminisce. And on top of that, you look at the freakish athlete that Cam Newton was and how Anthony Richardson is, that's where you can really see that comparison. But I love that move for them to trade up because, like I said, they went out and got Derek Carr, or the Saints got Derek Carr. And then outside of that, Atlanta, we don't know what their quarterback situation is going to be. As of now, it's Desmond Ridder. Tampa Bay, as of now, is Kyle Trask. So if you could go and get yourself your franchise guy, that is a very good thing for you in the future in that division, depending on what happens with Lamar Jackson or what other quarterbacks there might be.
Yeah, we all pretty much agree what's going to happen. We see trades that are going to happen personally because these two teams, the Bears and the Cardinals, don't really need anything at the top.
All right, so Jarryd, who do you have? The Arizona Cardinals taking at number 3 since you did not do any trades.
I went with Tyree Wilson, the edge rusher from Texas Tech.
Okay.
They need help on defense really bad. They don't do any pressure. That JJ Watt, that's the only name I remember on that defensive line personally. But that's all that needs to be said.
All right. I think I might be a little bit of a shocker here with mine. With the 3rd pick, the Arizona Cardinals will be taking Jalen Carter. I think once he gets exonerated from his stuff, I personally feel like Arizona is going to look at this and say, listen, to them, he might be the best player in his class. They're saying that he could be the best defensive tackle prospect to come out since Aaron Donald. And to me, I look at it with them. You could look at a Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech. They were 24th against the pass. They were not that good. They were middle of the road against the run. They were 31st in points allowed. Their defensive line was not good. And why not go and help out your defense, especially with Kyler Murray being out for most of the year, if not the whole year? Your defense is really going to have to step up. So why not go and get yourself that kind of prospect who a lot of people think is the best player in this class? So to me, I don't see this whole Sims slipping down like crazy if he gets exonerated. But yeah, I just feel like Arizona just says, you know what? Nope, screw that. And away we go.
No, I agree. I can see it happen for sure.
Absolutely.
All right. Number 4.
So in my mock, obviously, we had the Indianapolis Colts, who originally had the 4th pick, trading up to number 1. So the Chicago Bears now have the 4th pick. And with the 4th pick, I have the Chicago Bears taking Will Anderson, the edge rusher from Alabama. I think Will Anderson has the potential and is right there for best overall player in the draft. And in this scenario right here, the Bears trade down, they get some extra picks, and they still hit a home run on defense where they desperately need it. So Will Anderson's the pick here. I love Will Anderson. I think Will Anderson's going to be a stud. So I know there's been reports of the Bears wanting to trade down, and when they do trade down, they're targeting maybe Jackson Smith-Njigba. But number 4 is not the place to do that. I think that would be very, very wild. I mean, I wouldn't, as an Ohio State fan, I would not mind it one bit, but not at number 4. So I think you take the best player available, and obviously kind of the same situation with the Cardinals. With Carter's stuff going on, I think they'll go Anderson, and I think Will Anderson will be a great pick for the Chicago Bears.
And I'm in the same boat. I have Will Anderson going 4th. I had a real trouble trying to decide what I wanted to do with this pick, because if you're Chicago and you really love Will Anderson, obviously you take him. But if there's another guy on the board you like more, you can trade back to a team like Las Vegas or even Philadelphia to try to jump up and leap Detroit to try to get a good corner. One of those quarterback hungry teams and get more draft capital. But I couldn't have Will Anderson slip out of the top 10. I just don't see that happening, or even the top 5. So I just have him going here to Chicago with that defensive help that they need.
I agree. So my pick, even though with the Colts, took C.J. Stroud as the quarterback, at Ohio State. We spoke about this earlier. Colts really need a quarterback. They can't keep running around with these veteran QBs that they keep getting, old QBs. It'll just never work. Never will work.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with Jarryd. I have them going with C.J. Stroud from the Ohio State. You have Shane Steichen, who is their new head coach, old Phillies offensive coordinator. They were 30th in points per game last year, 23rd in passing, 31st in yards per pass. They've been trying to go with this whole veteran QB thing since Andrew Luck retired. They went from Jacoby Brissett to Phillip Rivers to Carson Wentz to whoever. What was it last year? Matt Ryan. They've been doing this now for a while. They need to get their guy, and so in C.J. Stroud, he seems to be a guy that's kind of going this a little bit more, and the Colts go and get their franchise guy. All right, number 5, the Seattle Seahawks.
All right, so originally here, I'm going to be honest with you. When I started working on this mock, this was before Geno Smith signed that 3-year, $105 million extension. And originally, I had Anthony Richardson going here at number 5 to Seattle. After the Combine, he said he had a great meeting with Seattle. And to be honest with you, if the Panthers don't trade up, or if a team doesn't trade up to take Richardson, I wouldn't completely rule them out taking Anthony Richardson in this spot. But in this case, someone did. So with the 5th pick, I have the Jalen Carter saga coming to an end right here, and I have the Seattle Seahawks taking him. I just think, he is the best player overall in this draft. I think him and Will Anderson are 1A and 1B, and I think he's just too talented of a guy that, Pete Carroll, of all people, is not going to pass up, especially when they do need help on that D-line. And, I mean, he just comes in right away and, another home run pick for Seattle. So I like what Seattle does. Obviously they have another first-round pick at pick 20. So, yeah, I think Jalen Carter is the pick here. I think he's the best player available, and I think Seattle takes a chance on him, depending on, if he gets exonerated or not.
And I agree. Me and Hunter so far are 5 for 5. I've got Jalen Carter going to Seattle. I think Seattle is the team to definitely stop the slide when it comes to people having issues off the field. They took DK Metcalf when he had some issues off the field during his draft, and I believe it was the 2nd round. I think Pete Carroll and the Seattle Seahawks are the team to do it. I think they'll grab Jalen Carter, put him in that defensive line, and really prosper with that defensive line there with, in my opinion, like you said, the greatest player in the draft. I think he's 1. I think Will Anderson is 2. I just wish Jalen Carter would have worked out at the Combine more, but
Yeah.
I definitely think Jalen Carter is number 1, and I think Seattle is a good fit for him.
Real quick, Jarryd, before you go, there was something that Herbert said that I agree on. There's certain coaches, when you look at a quote-unquote character guy, there's certain coaches who they're not afraid to take on a character problem or a character. And Pete Carroll is definitely one of those guys. He is not afraid of a problem child, of a character problem. And so, yeah, that's where I could agree with that. And he is definitely one of those coaches that would definitely go after someone like that. If he feels like he can help him win, yeah, he'll take that. He don't care about the character issues.
And I definitely agree. I took Jalen Carter here as well as number 5 as well with the Seattle Seahawks. It would be a great fit with Pete Carroll and that defensive line. Because no matter what issues, Pete Carroll will do it. He'll take care of it. It's not an issue.
So with me, the number 5, I have them going with Tyree Wilson, defensive end from Texas Tech. They shocked a lot of people last year with how they played. Geno Smith, he didn't answer back. But defensively, they were not that great. And if you want to improve on the season you had last year offensively, and you need to help your defense out as much as you can, he got to the quarterback at a good rate. Now, they were top 10 in sacks last year. They got to the quarterback 45 times last year, but they were 27th on third down last year. So you need to help out your 26th ranked defense. They're simple as that. And how do you do that? You can never have too many pass rushers. I don't think you could pass up a guy like Tyree Wilson in this situation that I have in my mock draft. All right. Number 6, the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, so with the 6th pick in the NFL draft, I have the Detroit Lions taking Christian Gonzalez, the corner from Oregon.
This is Herbert's heart, or this is Jarrod's heart right now.
Yeah, I think Christian Gonzalez is very good. But, this is I think quarterback in this draft is, besides maybe wide receiver, is the most unpredictable position where they can go in the draft. But I think the Lions jump on it right away. They obviously have concerns and questions about Jeff Okudah, if he can stay healthy, if he can stay consistent. But other than that, the other corner they have, the name's not ringing off the top of my head, that showed a bunch of promise. But I think it's the Lions' biggest need, in my opinion. So I think Christian Gonzalez is the pick here. And I think, now that he's gone, I think the corners kind of start coming. I know you guys don't want to hear that, but I think corners start going. I think Christian Gonzalez goes number 6 to the Lions right here.
And this is where we veer off. I've got the Lions selecting corner Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois. Christian Gonzalez, don't get me wrong, is my top-ranked corner on my board, but I still believe that teams are going to love Devin Witherspoon. The tape from Illinois does not lie. That Illinois secondary was so good, and a big part of that has to do with Devin Witherspoon. And I believe that his body type is perfection. His play style is perfection. I think Detroit is a perfect grab for here to add to that atrocious defense they had last season, and it's going to fix a lot of problems.
Oh, well, I agreed with one of you. With the number 6 pick, I had the Lions taking Christian Gonzalez, the cornerback from Oregon. As much as a fan of him, I want him to go to the Steelers, which is not going to happen. It'll be a great fit with the Lions, personally. You pair him up with Jeff Okudah, even though he's had some question marks, it will help out the defense tremendously.
I agree with Mr. Herbert. I have them going with Devin Witherspoon. He'll be the first Illinois player drafted in the top 10 since 1996.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember who that guy was in 1996 too.
And who was it? Because you weren't even alive.
It's Peyton Manning, Jeff. Everyone knows that.
Oh boy! But no,
idea
Detroit needs help on defense badly.
Hold on.
Literally the dead.
I have a trivia question. Can I interrupt real quick?
Oh, here we go.
I found this out the other day. I want to see if you guys get this. In the last 20 years, there has been one running back trade in the NFL that has been included a first-round pick. One running back that has been traded for a first-round pick in the last 20 years. Okay, thanks, Jeff, for ruining it. But that blew my mind. That just totally blew my mind. I could not believe that at all.
You know what's ironic is when you all were talking about Anthony Richardson going 3rd overall, we got
Justin said last time Richardson was drafted 3rd.
But yeah, back to Devin Witherspoon here. Yeah, they were dead last in defense last year. They need help. They were 30th against the pass, 30th on 3rd down. Pat them outside of Jeff Okudah. Help your secondary out. And with that other 18th pick, they could very well double dip on defense, or maybe they don't. We shall see. Number 7, the Las Vegas Raiders. And here's where things could get interesting as well.
Yeah, so with the number 7 pick here, I have the last quarterback going off the board right here. I have the Las Vegas Raiders taking Will Levis, the quarterback from Kentucky. I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, the Raiders need a quarterback after getting rid of Derek Carr. And honestly, doesn't seem like they're going after Aaron Rodgers or Lamar Jackson. So they need one. And Josh McDaniels just seems like a Will Levis type of guy. or Will Levis seems like a Josh McDaniels type guy. We've seen with Will Levis, I mean, he has all the physical tools. He has a big arm. He's a big guy. We saw him at the combine. I mean, dude is a cannon. So we've heard the comparisons to Josh Allen and those bigger quarterbacks. But I think more than anything, quarterback is such a need for the Raiders right now. So I think Will Levis goes here, and the fourth quarterback goes in the first 7 picks.
And that's where we come back. I've got Will Levis also going to Vegas. I almost played a scenario where this pick ended up in Baltimore, where they get Lamar Jackson. But with all the teams coming out and just saying they aren't going after Lamar, I just don't see Vegas going for Lamar. I don't think he's the Josh McDaniels quarterback that he wants, and I think Will Levis fits that perfectly. And Will Levis in Vegas, I don't think prospers that well, but his cannon of an arm, I think he'll be a great player, but I don't think he'll prosper well in Vegas. But I have him going here.
Well, man, we're all on the same board here. I took Will Levis here as well to the Raiders. It's not a shocker.
Well, I have to veer away from everyone because I have them going with Anthony Richardson here at number 7. And you feel like in this case you have between Levis and Richardson. I feel like that they would rather go with Richardson here. Now, regardless of who they choose, I don't think that either Levis or Anthony Richardson will be ready day one. I personally think on that. But I do think that Richardson would be ready quicker. Now, we'll see. Could they go with a free agent quarterback? Maybe. But in this case, if that was the case, if they were to somehow go with a free agent quarterback, this would probably be like maybe an offensive lineman of some sort. But for me, I have them going with their future quarterback, and we already talked about Anthony Richardson earlier, so we really don't need to get much more about him personally. All right, here we go. Number 8, the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, so with the 8th pick here, I have the Atlanta Falcons taking Tyree Wilson, the edge rusher from Texas Tech. I think it's no secret that the Falcons need an edge rusher. On the defensive side of the ball, they are getting a little bit older. Excuse me. I'm about to burp. Okay, sorry. I think here at this point, Tyree Wilson's one of those interesting players. I mean, he could go as high as number 3 to the Cardinals. I could see him even falling out of the top 10. I think he's interesting here, but I think when it comes to needs, the Falcons need an edge rusher, and he's my best available left on the board here. So I have Tyree Wilson going here at 8 to the Atlanta Falcons.
I as well have Tyree Wilson going to the Atlanta Falcons here at 8. I do think he can have a real like Trayvon Walker kind of hype session where he just jumps up to the first of the board. This hype behind Tyree Wilson these last couple of weeks has been insane. People have been putting him over Will Anderson from what I've seen in some mock drafts at the combine. But I do believe Will Anderson does go before him, and Tyree Wilson falls here to the Atlanta Falcons at 8, who desperately need some defensive help.
All right. Real quick, Jared, before we get to you, we just got a bunch of comments in right away. As soon as we get done with this pick, we'll get into some of the comments in the chat. But go ahead, Jared.
Well, with the number 8 pick, since Tyree Wilson isn't there, I went with the tackle Peter Skoronski from Northwestern. Helps out Desmond Ridder with the O-line. They could go defense, but I just went with someone on the offensive side of the ball. I think Peter Skoronski is probably the best tackle prospect next to Paris Johnson. That can go either way. It could be Paris Johnson here, but I think Peter Skoronski is with the more versatile, can go guard or tackle. Definitely will help out the Falcons.
And I have to agree with Jared here. I also went with Peter Skoronski here. Now, I do mention how I think in this situation with Tyree Wilson being already off the board, that Miles Murphy could be in the picture here as well for them. But to me, I just feel like whoever their quarterback's going to be, they're going to want to protect him. And so why not go and get yourself arguably the best guard or tackle prospect in this class. So real quick, a couple comments we'll get into. Justin here says, yo, Herbert, why do you got toilet paper hanging behind you?
You mean this Big Ten champions?
Mm-hmm.
And then here we have Mr. Parker saying Jalen Carter is the best player in the draft, and it's not close.
Yeah, I'm about to go downstairs and beat on him. So
Well, then, hello there. And then, so we have Steel Black here. He says, can't see from pit to pit. So he's possibly saying a possible Kalijah Cansey. And then he is calling out Jarryd here, saying you're going to draft. I know you're going to draft Gonzalez because you're a Gonzalez lover. I don't know if you just got here, but he already is off the board on Jarryd's mock draft.
Yeah, he went number 6 in my board to the Lions.
Yes, Justin, I am home. I got home today.
All right, number 9. For some people, the Carolina Panthers, and some others. All right, go ahead.
So obviously, I have the Arizona Cardinals at 9. I have them taking Lucas Van Ness, the edge from Iowa. So when you look at the Arizona Cardinals last year had the 5th lowest amount of sacks in the NFL. Both of their starting edge rushers from last season are gone. J.J. Watt retired, and Zach Allen is a free agent. So they desperately need the help at edge. And to be honest with you, I think they just kind of got shit out of luck that Tyree Wilson went 1 pick before to the Atlanta Falcons. So I think they go with Lucas Van Ness here to try and fill that hole. Again, the Cardinals are in such a weird spot right now. With a poor roster construction, and their starting quarterback's going to miss most of the year next year. So they trade down, they get some extra picks, but they still fill their biggest need to me. So I think this is a win for the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, and I got the Cardinals here as well. I have them going with Peter Skoronski, the tackle out of Northwestern. 8 of their O linemen are free agents this year, and they're not going to be able to resign all 8 of them. With Peter Skoronski, you can plug him anywhere in tackle or guard. I think he's more of a guard, but you can really put him anywhere on that line and get significant help for Kyler Murray in the future. So I have Peter Skoronski going here at 9.
Nice. Well, with number 9 pick, the Panthers pick Anthony Richardson. What a shocker, guys. They need a quarterback. We already talked about this before. Don't want to repeat it again. So
I also have Carolina. I have Carolina going with Will Levis here. They need the quarterback of their future. They get the 4th and last of the thing. I think he's a project. And the reason why I going with Will Levis in the Josh Allen comparison, the reason why I compare those two is also the weight of how Josh Allen's career started versus how I project that Will Levis's career is going to start out. We all knew that Josh Allen was going to be a project quarterback. It was going to be a few years before he became, the Josh Allen we know now. In the first 2 years, he was not good. At 18 and 19, Josh Allen was not that good. And that's exactly how I feel that Will Levis is going to be. And, I don't think he'll be ready day one. But you have Frank Reich, who's one of the better head coaches in the NFL. Why he got fired from the Colts is still insane to me. But I just think for them, they go with their quarterback of the future.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I keep zoning out. Did you have Anthony Richardson go yet?
Yeah, he went 7 to the Raiders.
That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure.
All right. Number 10, the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, so this is actually one of my favorite picks in my mock draft. So with the 10th pick, I have the Philadelphia Eagles taking Devon Witherspoon, the corner from Illinois. And with this pick, you look at the Eagles secondary. Their secondary was incredible this last season. But Darius Slay is getting older. He's 32 years old. James Bradbury is a free agent. So you kind of got to start working, somewhere, getting some younger talent in there. And I think that's what they do at number 10 here. I do think that they take a hard look at Bijan Robinson here at number 10. But then I think they ultimately think maybe it's a little too high. And maybe just pray that he's there with their second first-round pick. So I think corner is a bigger need for them than running back right now. So, yeah, I have Devon Witherspoon going number 10 to the Philadelphia here.
Yeah, I also do have a corner going to Philadelphia. I have Christian Gonzalez, who's still on my board, going to Philadelphia. Like you said, James Bradbury is a free agent. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is a free agent. They're really needing some more young help in that secondary with a bunch of key guys they aren't going to be able to bring back. But if they get Christian Gonzalez or Devon Witherspoon, I think they'll be fine for the future. But to piggyback off that Bijan Robinson, I he's the hardest player to put in any spot in this mock draft. He's so good, but running back position is just nobody values it.
Mm-hmm.
It's so hard to place him in the first round on any team. I think there's a chance he could slip out of the first round, but he's such a good talent. He's going to be a steal no matter who gets him.
I agree. And with my pick, I had picking Devin Witherspoon, the cornerback out of Illinois. Basically what Hunter said and what Herb said, they're losing a lot of key free agents. Darius Slay's getting older. It's great to have young talent onto that defense.
I have them going in a different direction. I actually have them going with Miles Murphy here from Clemson, defensive end. And I contemplated going corner here. But the way I'm looking at it is when you look at the free agents, Fletcher Cox is 32. Robert Quinn is 32. Brandon Graham is 34. Javon Hargrave's 30. They're all free agents. And they're all past 30. So why not go and get someone younger to build on that newer, younger defensive line with Jordan Davis? And why not build on that? So I kind of went with a different direction in that sense. Number 11.
Choice,
You said what?
Nothing. Go ahead.
All right. Number 11, the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, so with the 11th pick, I have the Tennessee Titans taking Paris Johnson, the offensive tackle from Ohio State. I'll do it with you. I think obviously, the retirement of Taylor Lewan, the cutting of Taylor Lewan could prompt this move. And the Titans O-line just is not that good anymore. So I know there's rumors of them shopping Derrick Henry. But, if you still want Derrick Henry is going to be productive regardless. But if you want him to, reach his fullest potential with how he's been the last couple of years, you got to get younger on that O-line. And, that was not a good voice crack, but I think he's the best. I think Paris Johnson is the best offensive lineman in this draft. So I have the Titans going with the Ohio State product here. Mike Vrabel taking an offensive lineman from his alma mater. So go Bucks.
Yeah, as much as it pains me to say this, I do believe Paris Johnson is the best tackle in this draft, best O-lineman. I also have him going here 11 to Tennessee, and it pains me more to know that they had to cut a Michigan man to replace him with a Buckeye. But Paris Johnson, I love him so much. He is such a good tackle. He's about the only, other than Jackson Smith and Jigba, the only Ohio State player I was a fan of this year. But I have him here in Tennessee to help out Ryan Tannehill, whoever their quarterback is next year, and help out Derrick Henry to break through and get some good runs.
Well, I guess we're all on the same board here. I went with Paris Johnson myself at the tackle. It's no need. Taylor Lewan's gone. He's not good, and I do not want him on the Steelers, so let's stop talking about it. Please. I'm going to keep saying it. Don't need him.
For the last 3 or 4 weeks, we've been doing this. I've been messing with Jarryd about Taylor Lewan coming to Pittsburgh.
I don't care if we're finalists for the Steelers. You stay away from the Steelers. That's what you need to do. Go to the Bengals.
Bring the Michigan man here. Bring him. I want Taylor Lewan.
No, bring him to the Bengals. So we have Alex Highsmith and T.J. Watt to go around him. That's what I want.
Oh man! Well, I think we are all going 4 for 4, like Wendy's. We're going with Paris Johnson here. Yeah, they need to replace what Taylor Lewan has done for them for over a decade. He might be the best offensive tackle prospect in this class, and I have them going, getting a pick at number 11. I do think though they might be intrigued with Broderick Jones, so I'm not going to rule out that possibility either of Broderick Jones being the pick here at number 11. But in this case, I'm going with Paris Johnson. Number 12, the Houston Texans.
Yeah, and in this scenario, I have might as well. I think Herb's going to like this. I think we're just going to continue with the Buckeyes right here. With the 12th pick, I have the Houston Texans taking Jackson Smith-Njigba, the wide receiver out of Ohio State. And look, I kind of think this is an obvious pick as well. I know that the Texans aren't a talented roster, but I do think it's more and more likely that Brandon Cooks is dealt in this offseason. And so when he's dealt, it's going to leave the Texans with not shit at the wide receiver position. So I think they start to build that back up right here. They took Bryce Young at number 2. I think they get him his target right here, and I think they draft Jackson Smith-Njigba, who I think is the number 1 wide receiver in this draft. And I think this sets up a connection from Young to Njigba for years to come.
And I'm piggyback off that. I do have Jackson going here as well to Houston. Coming in before the combine, I had him as wide receiver 3 behind Quentin Johnston and Jordan Addison. But man, his combine, I can't lie. Jackson came out and he blew it out of the water. He's moved up to my number 1 wide receiver. As much as I hate for Jordan Addison to fall so far, Jackson Smith-Njigba is the pick here. And I do think there's a scenario where we can see CJ Stroud and Jackson Smith-Njigba pair up in Houston like Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are in Cincinnati.
Well,
I like it.
I picked also JSN going to the Houston Texans. I think he is wide receiver 1, especially after that combine he put out there. He looked real good, man. Looked real good right there. And don't forget, I think the Texans still have John Mechie III, if I'm not mistaken. So that's just another receiver to have with as well.
Oh, sometimes being different is a little bit fun. And, for all the Pittsburgh Steelers fans who want Jordan Addison, I'm sorry. That is not happening. You are not getting a
I want Jordan Addison any way possible.
No, not at 17. No, I have Jordan Addison going number 12 to the Houston Texans, as we all talked about before. I originally had this being Quentin Johnston, but then I don't see that being the case. And what's good, Marcus? I see you in one of my other chats. I see. This is kind of a gut feeling. I have a fat gut, and they always say use your gut. If you have a gut feeling, use it. And that's kind of where I'm at with this. Jordan Addison is I got this gut feeling that this ends up being Jordan Addison.
Hey, you said it, buddy, not me.
You said it.
Number 13.
Yeah, so with the 13th pick, I have the New York Jets taking Peter Skoronski, the offensive tackle from Northwestern. Let's be honest here. They're going to need someone to block for Aaron Rodgers up there in New York. So when this trade does go through, which I definitely think it's going to in the next couple of days, we've seen their O-line. Their O-line isn't bad. They just have some injury questions. We don't know about Mekhi Becton. I tell you what, I saw a picture of Mekhi Becton today, though. He's put in some work, it looks like.
He is slim down a little bit. He is
slim. But there's still those injury questions. And Peter Skoronski is a very, very good offensive lineman. Second best in the Big Ten behind Paris Johnson. But, I think Skoronski's the pick here. And I think the Jets, who had one of the better defenses in the NFL last year, kind of beef up their offense here. They're going to get their franchise guy in Rodgers. They're going to beef up the O-line here. And obviously they have Garrett Wilson, Ohio State Buckeye, out at wide receiver. I honestly think the Jets are, when they get Rodgers, I think they're ready to make a big push next year.
Yeah, and I have to agree with the position on here. I'm taking a tackle for New York. I have Broderick Jones out of Georgia going. I think with the offensive line, I think Broderick Jones is a close second behind Paris Johnson. I'm honestly not a big fan of Peter Skoronski. His arms are too small. I like him better at guard, like I said earlier. But Broderick Jones really impressed at the combine as well. And I have him going here to New York. But like you said, they need protection for Rodgers. They've got plenty of weapons, I feel like, with Garrett Wilson. They need that protection for Rodgers to really make sure he can stay healthy at that old age, really solidify his spot there in New York to get him to pull in once they have him build as much as I hate to say to build around a 40-year-old, but get Rodgers the help in New York.
Y'all really think Rodgers is going to happen? I don't know if it will. It looks like it, personally. But for me right now, this is before, Rodgers gets traded. I see him going with the offensive tackle. I went with an edge guy. I went with Nolan Smith to pair it with Josh Johnson. He went, he did really well at the combine. He put up those numbers. I think pair him up with that defense, I think they'll be a whole lot better.
And I want to sneak in here real quick, Kirby. With that run at the combine he had, it was one of the first days where everybody was quiet during the 40, and after he ran it, it was an audible gasp. It was just the last time I've seen that was in 2017 after Josh Allen's 80-yard throw, but it was just, you could hear the whole crowd like, wow, nobody expected him to run that fast.
So
I think my favorite 40-yard dash run this year was DeJuan Jones by far. That was incredible to watch. Just a guy that big moving like that.
That was insane.
Yeah, it's like Jeff. It's like watching Jeff run across the street at my house on a busy road trying to get to the other side before the cars get there.
Okay. You know what? Since we're going there, we're gonna explain the story. We're going off track.
My God.
So this was in 2020 after a game. It was after a game where we had both the Browns and the Steelers game, and the Steelers, I think we had beat someone in the last second. Me and my friend Daniel, we ran across the street. We started to have like a little race. I had a thing of B-dubs in my hand, and let's just say I went tumbling and fumbling, but the wings were still in my hand.
Yeah, I think they issued an earthquake warning about 3 minutes later.
Oh my God.
See, that was a tree. I looked outside my front window, and Jeff just sprawled out on the ground like it's a crime scene.
No, you know what it was? I looked like whoever the character was that Joey Diaz played in The Longest Yard, where he just said, "Y'all assholes better not cut me. Someone bring me a Diet Coke."
Yep.
That was me.
Yeah.
But all right, back to regularly scheduled programming. I also have the Jets going with Broderick Jones here. So the third offensive tackle goes off the board here. Dwayne Brown, who was their current left tackle, is 38 years old, and he's on an expiring deal. Why not go and protect whoever your franchise quarterback is going to be? Probably Aaron Rodgers. So why not go and invest in him?
Yeah, I agree.
Number 14, the New England Patriots, and this is where I totally feel like this is one of those picks where we could have 4 different players.
Yeah, so I already know mine's going to be different from 2 of you because you just had him go the last pick. So I have the New England Patriots going with Broderick Jones right here. Let's be honest. When your 2 starting offensive tackles are Isaiah Wynn and Trent Brown, and they kind of have a hard time staying on the field, let alone playing at a very high level. I think New England invests in the offensive line right here. They don't have a ton of depth there, and they're kind of relying on older guys to, produce. And I think if you want Mac Jones to be successful or Bailey Zappi, whoever runs the show next year, you got to invest in the O-line. And I think Broderick Jones at this point is the best offensive tackle left. So I think Broderick Jones is the pick here for New England.
Yeah, and to piggyback off what you said, Kirby, I do think this could go anywhere. They could go receiver, tackle, just surprise anybody. I have them picking an edge rusher here. I have them going Lucas Van Ness out of Iowa just to get some young edge core to add to their defense. But they selected Chase Winovich years ago, shipped him off to Cleveland. I think this one turns out a little more successful with Lucas Van Ness. But yep, I have them taking an edge here to add some young age to an old defense.
Oh, we're all going to have something different? I hope so. I went with the receiver. I went with Quentin Johnson, the receiver from TCU. I really didn't know I don't know what the Patriots are going to pick, personally. They could go anywhere, personally.
Never know with Belichick.
I never know with Belichick. I just think it's a great weapon with Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi. They have nobody at receiver, basically. They literally have nobody.
So we are officially going to be all different here. I went with Brian Branch from Alabama. Now there's 2. So I actually, when I was thinking about this, I really thought about going outside the box and going with DeJuan Jones here. I'm not going to lie, because that's how outside the box you have to think when you talk about a Bill Belichick pick. And in that case, Isaiah Wynn's a free agent, so why not go and replace your tackle? But when I look at Brian Branch, he is one of my favorite players in this class. He's versatile. He could play the nickel corner. He could play the safety position. He reminds me a lot as a safety as Minkah Fitzpatrick with the way that with his instinct abilities, with the way that he's just able to move around and make plays. If you could give Bill Belichick a Minkah Fitzpatrick kind of player, I just don't see him passing that up. So yeah, we officially go 4 different players. Gotta love it. That's to no surprise for New England. Number 15, the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, so with the 15th pick here, I have the Green Bay Packers taking your guy, Jeff. I have them taking Brian Branch, the safety from Alabama. The Packers are an interesting team too because they're another team that can go multiple ways. And I almost had them taking a tight end here, or even a wide receiver. I mean, it can go many ways, but the Packers have shown in previous drafts that they love defense and they love to take defense, and they don't like taking offensive skill players. So I have Brian Branch here. I think Brian Branch is going to be a stud. Jeff claims that's Jeff's guy, but secretly I liked him before Jeff did. So he's actually my guy. So unless he's a bust, then he's Jeff's guy.
No.
But yeah, I think Brian Branch is the pick here. I think the Packers try to bolster up that defense even more. And he's the pick here for Green Bay.
And I agree. It's another team that really can go either way here. I have them taking a tight end. I have them going Dalton Kincaid out of Utah. I think this tight end class, at least the top 3, are a 3-headed monster with Michael Mayer, Dalton Kincaid, and Darnell Washington. They really could pick any of those 3 in that slot, but I have them going Dalton Kincaid, somebody who, in my opinion, I don't like him as much as Michael Mayer, but with Green Bay, with the whole skill set and not picking receivers, I don't think they go with a guy like Michael Mayer and go with the more of the pass catcher and Dalton Kincaid.
Real quick, I want to piggyback on something that Herbert just said. He said a 3-headed monster. Surprised you didn't. So you didn't. What is it that you don't like about Luke Musgrave from Oregon State? Because you would think that's the other tight end that people are talking about as well.
I do like Luke Musgrave, but I just think he's too raw. I think with this whole injury last year that he's a little too raw for me. I think if he can get more playing time, I think he will in the NFL. I just think he's a little too raw for me. I see him more as like a 4 on my. I think it's 1A, 1B, 1C, and I think he's more of that 4 that kind of he gets separated from those top 3.
Well, I took Brian Branch as well with this pick to the Packers. I think it fits perfectly with the Packers team. It could be corner or safety. Like I said, like Kirby said, reminds me of Minkah Fitzpatrick. Just really does.
So I kind of have to agree with Herbert, but I went with a different player. I went with Michael Mayer here. I went with, my opinion, probably the best tight end prospect in this class. Robert Tonyan is a free agent, and 38-year-old Mercedes Lewis is going to be – they're both going to be free agents. We know that Aaron Rodgers is most likely out the door. And we know that it seems like Green Bay do like their tight ends. So why not, in my opinion, go after a guy who kind of reminds me of Jason Witten? And the reason why I like Michael Mayer is because nowadays you really don't find many tight ends who are pretty good at receiving and pretty good at blocking. It's usually one or the other. And you get a little bit of both with Michael Mayer. And obviously for us in Pittsburgh, we have that with Heath Miller, which a lot of people like to compare with Heath Miller and Jason Witten. You kind of combine those two. That's kind of how I feel with Michael Mayer. And so why not get a guy who could be both, who could do both?
No.
All right. Number 16. And as for us Steeler fans, this is where our hearts start to race a little bit.
Yeah, and with the 16th pick, Jeff, you couldn't have said it any better. This is where Steelers fans' hearts start to race. And honestly, this is where some Steeler fans' hearts start to break. With the 16th pick, I have the Washington Commanders taking Joey Porter Jr., the corner from Penn State. And now what you've told me, Jeff, from at least Steeler Twitter, some people love Joey Porter, some people hate Joey Porter because of his dad. I think Joey Porter Jr. is going to be a stud. I do. And the Commanders, it seems like they're rolling with Sam Howell on offense. I almost went with a sleeper pick here for the Commanders, but I didn't. I think corner is desperately what they need right now. As a Browns fan playing them in Week 17, they need a corner very bad. So I think Joey Porter Jr. Is the best available after Witherspoon and Gonzalez. So I think the Commanders go with a corner here and break the heart of some Steeler fans. So.
Yeah, and like you said, Jeff, this is definitely where Steelers fans' hearts go to race. But thankfully for all you Steelers fans, I don't have Joey Porter in this spot. I have Washington reaching up and kind of going with the guard of Osiris Torrance out of Florida. If they really think Sam Howell is the future, they need to protect him. And I think they go with the offensive line with the best guard available in the class. Well, I mean, they could go tackle with Anton Harrison here, but I think they take a guard and really help Sam Howell for the future.
Well, I went with the breaking of the hearts also. I went with Joey Porter Jr., to be honest, for Penn State to go to the Commanders. It just makes sense for me personally. If Joey Porter's there or not there for the Steelers, oh, well, that's going to be somebody else. I don't have to live with, it's Joey Porter's dad. The expectation's probably a lot higher if he's picked with the Steelers, honestly.
And I think that's a good point, too, as this cornerback class is just, I think, in my opinion, so deep. So if Joey Porter isn't there, I think you're going to get another stud at 17.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's still more guys that we haven't even discussed yet. I mean, here's a guy, real quick, there's a guy Jarryd always loves to mention is Cam Smith. He loves mentioning Cam Smith, and I mean, that's always a possibility, in your guys' situation. You're still Emmanuel Forbes, who was like 110 pounds, but I mean, there's still other guys too that you even going into the second round that you might be able to get. Maybe a guy like Eli Ricks from Alabama. He's another one of those guys that he could very well be in like the second round.
I would say that would be crazy.
Yeah. So number 16, I have the Washington Commanders going with Christian Gonzalez. Now, Herbert, you mentioned Osiris Torrance. That was your pick. And I love that you said that because when I was thinking of this, I really thought about going with Osiris Torrance here. But I feel like in terms of the value, Christian Gonzalez is by far the better value here. And why not go after one of the best corners in this class? They only had 9 interceptions last year as a defense. They were 28th in the NFL in interceptions. So why not go after Christian Gonzalez, who everyone is loving?
Yeah.
You think Christian Gonzalez is going to slide all the way to 16?
I mean, it just all depends on how people feel, in terms of value, like what people need. I mean, there's some things that you could think that they very well can, but it's just like when you look at it, you just never know. I mean, it happens at least once a year where you have a guy that you think is going to go high, and then he just kind of slips a little bit.
Yeah, I said that when I said the Lions were going to pick him at 6. The cornerbacks are very, very unpredictable in this draft. So, yeah, I absolutely think it could happen.
Here we go. All righty. Number 17. Let's see what the Cleveland Browns fan has the Pittsburgh Steelers doing.
With the 17th pick, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers trading it to the Cleveland Browns for a 7th round pick, and you guys can take Chase Winovich with you. No,
Herbert might like that because you get a Michigan player in Pittsburgh, but
I think this might be a little bit of a reach, but before we started this, you said that the Steelers at 17 could find themselves in an awkward position where there's not any top corners really left or top offensive linemen left. And this is exactly how the situation played out. I promise you, I didn't do it on purpose. So with pick 17, sadly in Pittsburgh, or sadly for the rest of the AFC North, the Dan Moore tenure is over. I have them taking Anton Harrison offensive tackle from Oklahoma. Here's the thing, and we were talking about this before the show. If you guys think Kenny Pickett is the answer, which is still to be determined, and like you guys said, I loved what he showed in the second half of the year. I'll tell you what, I am not Kenny Pickett's biggest fan at all. I will be honest with you, but I tell you what, after that Ravens game in Baltimore, where he had the game-winning drive and that nice touchdown he had, I believe, to Najee Harris, wasn't it, on the last drive? I was like, okay. I was like, as much as I hate to admit it, this dude can play. So with that being said, you got to protect him. You got your receivers. I'm just saying right now, if you guys do not feature George Pickens as much as you can next year, it is the biggest waste of talent. I think with Pickens, Deontay Johnson, Pat Freiermuth, he has his weapons. Najee Harris, you just got to bolster that O-line now. We saw how dominant
and a lot more than just that. I agree.
But you see how dominant the defense can be when TJ Watt is on the field and he is healthy. He honestly is one of the most valuable players to their team in the NFL. I mean, we saw that last year with you guys. So with that being said, I almost had Pittsburgh taking Kelee Ringo here. Yeah, no. I was gonna say,
God, no.
I'm not a big Kelee Ringo guy either. But it was either Kelee Ringo, Cam Smith, or Anton Harrison. But I don't think they'll reach for either of those two. I think Harrison is a little bit of a reach, but I think after all these offensive linemen going, I think he's the best one available. And I think they help pick it out even more. So I think that's the pick for Pittsburgh at 17.
Yeah, and I also have Pickett 17 is adding weapons to Kenny Pickett. I'm kidding. I've got Joey Porter out of Penn State going at 17.
Boy, you was about to make my eyeballs bulge out of my head.
As much as I would love to see Pickett and Addison connection after the combine, you do not take Jordan Addison at 17. The tape doesn't lie though, but man, what do he run, a 4.49 for a guy that small? Kind of scares me. But I have Joey Porter here. His build is just, in my opinion, like Sauce Gardner. He's just a little too grabby, which I think is coachable. You can teach that out of a player. I think if Joey Porter's here, I couldn't run that ticket up to the fucking Roger Goodell fast enough. I have Joey Porter here.
Real quick, Jarryd, before you get into that, one thing that Herbert just said about the grabbiness, which is something that we've all discussed. What's interesting is last year, he only had one penalty of the grabbiness kind of penalties. And that was in the first half of their very first game. He did not have a single penalty of pass interference or holding the rest of the year.
It's good. It's very good. Well, with my pick, I took Broderick Jones, the tackle from Georgia. This would be a dream scenario for me if he falls to 17, which is very possible. And it can't happen. It might not happen as well, but man, if Broderick Jones was here, put that left tackle spot, it'd be very good, man. I would be very excited.
Oh, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers going with Joey Porter Jr. Like we mentioned before, this pick's going to be very divided. So I really, who's the guy that no one has really mentioned yet that I thought about going with at 17, and I thought Hunter was going to be the guy to say it. I thought about possibility of Darnell Wright from Tennessee. Now here's the thing when it comes to corners. Pittsburgh fans are always kind of a little weary with the Steelers drafting corners high. And, we'll see. Joey Porter Jr., he had 34-inch arms. That's something that you always love to see. I also wonder how much he could play, in terms of his zone. He seems to be more of a press man corner. But I just feel like that this would be the pick. And honestly, to me, I'm starting to grow a little bit more and more on Joey Porter Jr. than I have in the past. Before, I was not on him, but I'm starting to go this way a little bit. I'm starting to grow on Joey Porter Jr. a little bit. And I wouldn't be as mad based on my mock draft and the way I've had it. I wouldn't be mad at it at all with going with Joey Porter Jr. here.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
Okay, we got the fun part. Even though we still got more picks to go. Number 18, the Detroit Lions' second pick.
Yeah, so in this scenario, I have the Detroit Lions trading the 18th pick to the Cleveland Browns, and I have the Cleveland Browns breaking the rules and getting Marvin Harrison Jr. to come out a year early. And I have them taking Marvin Harrison Jr. here. No, I'm just kidding. I have the Detroit Lions here. Like you said earlier, Jeff, double dipping on defense. I have them going with Brian Bresee, the defensive tackle from Clemson. Besides corner, I think defensive line is the biggest need for the Detroit Lions. I mean, you look at their offense is good. I mean, they have a very solid offensive line. They have some solid weapons. So yeah, I think they go with Brian Bresee here to shore up that defense. I'm excited for the Detroit Lions next year. I think they have a chance to be a very solid team. I love Dan Campbell, but I will only root for them if they re-sign Jamal Williams. So yeah, I have the Lions going defense here again at 18.
The reason why I don't like Dan Campbell is because I was there when he had to watch when he tied our team when us three were there.
Jeff, I think you should go to every Steelers game next year because they haven't won a single game that you've gone to.
You know what's sad is I've been to multiple ties. How the hell has it been that I've seen more ties than wins?
That's just God telling you that you should not be.
Stay home. I'm joking.
You should be a fan of the team of the city that you live in.
At least my record was even, or I get wins.
Yeah, I will piggyback off that. The first game I've ever been to Kirby with, it's the first tie I've ever witnessed. And then ever since then, other than this year, I've witnessed a tie after. I was at the overtime Seattle game last year. It wasn't a tie, but I've witnessed an overtime game every year after that. It's Kirby in a Browns jersey.
Oh, Kirby, man, that was my first tie too ever. Hope you know that.
So real quick, So by the way, once again, he's trying to show this because he's trying to fit a narrative, but what he won't tell you is that I was paying off a bet. That's what he won't tell you, though. He won't tell you that I paid off a bet where the loser of whatever it was, we had to wear the opposite jersey. I lost the bet, so I had to wear that. So that's what it was.
Well, Jeff, also, you're right. It's not fitting my agenda, so you need to stop. And
so therefore you can.
Second off, you tell everyone that this is a Joe Hayden jersey when in fact this is an Andrew Sendejo jersey.
Hey, you know how many times I did get told? Do you want me to go and get it upstairs? I will go and get this jersey now.
No, Jeff, please don't. It'll take you 3 years to get back down.
You know what? All right, Hunter, goodbye. No, I'm just kidding.
That's funny.
But yeah, that's something that Hunter won't tell you. All right, back to regularly scheduled programming. Herbert, Here you go.
Back to the D, drafting with the D. Pause. I've got Kalaji Kancey going from Pittsburgh, defensive line to Detroit. Like you said, Detroit, I think, double dips in defense in this draft to pair with Aiden Hutchinson on that line. I think him and Kancey would be almost, I wouldn't say an unstoppable force, but a pretty damn hard thing to stop with, especially with the comparisons to Aaron Donald and how close he was at that combine with everything that Donald did a couple years ago. But I have Kancey going before Brian Bresee in this draft.
Well, guess what, Herb? I agree with you. I went with Kalaji Kancey as well from Pitt to the Detroit Lions. Everything that you just said was basically what I was going to say, but I thought I was just going to be me. But that would be nasty with Aiden Hutchinson and Kalaji Kancey. Man, it could be Brian Bresee, but I think Kancey might be the better player.
So we all went with defense. However, I went with Lucas Van Ness here. I have them double dipping in the first round on defense, like we all kind of feel like they might do. And like I said, I mentioned with Devin Witherspoon, they were the worst defense in the NFL. And now they have someone in the secondary to help out their secondary. Now you have someone opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. So now you have your bookends to go after the quarterback, whoever, in that division. You have Kirk Cousins, Jalen, Justin Fields. You're going to be able to get to the quarterback now. Lucas Van Ness is one of those guys that he played at Iowa. It's one of those just weird situations where they just simply do not like to play young guys, and he just got put in a messed up situation. But yeah, why not go with Aiden Hutchinson or with Lucas Van Ness here? And they were 20th in sacks last year, so why not boost that up a little bit more and help out your pass rush? All right, number 19, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, with the 19th pick, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking Tom Brady. I have them taking Miles Murphy, the edge rusher from Clemson. And when you look at this, Shaq Barrett is going to be 31 years old. He's coming off that Achilles tear. Joe Tryon, who they drafted either last year or 2 years ago, I can't remember.
2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah. He, still a big question mark there. He's not a guy they can totally rely on. So I think, the Buccaneers are in hell right now in terms of, trying with roster construction, not having a quarterback. I don't know who their right mind would want to roll with Kyle Trask. But I think edge is the pick here, and Miles Murphy, another guy who's unpredictable in where they can go. I think Miles Murphy goes here to the Buccaneers.
Yeah, this pick, other than I think New England and Green Bay, really can go either way in any direction. Offense, defense, they could reach for a quarterback. They could trade up for one. They could just go absolutely anywhere. But I have the Bijan Robinson slide stopping now, going to Tampa Bay. With them cutting Leonard Fournette, they need another premium back, as much as Leonard Fournette was that premium back. But I think that could really bolster that offense and really help Kyle Trask if they go with him. Help him through his first year in the as a starter in the NFL, really take a lot of pressure off his shoulders and give it to, in my opinion, maybe the best prospect in the draft. This Bijan Robinson is just insane. Both those Texas running backs are really good, but I have the slide stopping now going to Tampa Bay.
Well, like Herb said, I don't know what the hell the Bucs are going to pick here. This was like the hardest pick for me. I have no idea. They could go anywhere. I went with Deontay Banks, the cornerback from Maryland over here. Interesting guy. He did good at the combine. I feel like they just need a piece to their defense. This is like the toughest for me to pick on this one, for me, honestly.
I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going with Keon White from Georgia Tech. Well, they could go with a corner here. I really thought about Cam Smith here, but they also need help on the defensive line. It's like we've all mentioned, it's one of those pick your poison. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to help out? And also, maybe not rule out the possibility of a linebacker here. With Levante David, it seems like he's going to test the market. You might want to go and we don't know what the hell the situation is going to be with Devin White. So maybe this is where the first linebacker comes into play, whether it's a Jack Campbell or a Drew Sanders or a Trenton Simpson or someone like that. That's very well where you could go with. But I don't know. I just kind of had this feeling that they would go with Keon White. And I thought about the Bijan pick, but to me, the way I look at it is when you're in a situation like that, I don't know if using your first round pick on a running back, how I don't know. It just didn't sound right to me. But I really did consider going with Bijan Robinson here.
And I think with the Buccaneers, I think they're the only pick this late in the draft that could reach for Bijan because they have right now no future. They don't have a starting quarterback that can really help them out. Maybe they get a Jimmy Garoppolo in free agency, or they actually do roll with Kyle Trask. But there's so many question marks on that team that if you get Bijan Robinson, you at least know you have somewhat of offensive talent going into next year to take some pressure off of Kyle Trask if that's who they're rolling with as a starter.
All right, number 20, the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, with the 20th pick, I have the Seattle Seahawks taking Jordan Addison, the wide receiver out of USC. I think, after signing Geno Smith to that extension the other day, I think you need to overwhelm him with as many passing options as you can. So I think getting Jordan Addison out there with Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf can give the Seahawks an unbelievable amount of talent at that receiver position. And it gives, like I said, it gives Geno another weapon. And I think that Seattle could take maybe another step offensively, which they need. We've seen, their O-line is decent. Geno showed, how solid he was last year. Kenneth Walker was very solid last year. I mean, they have a very solid offense, and I think if you add Jordan Addison to this list, which Tyler Lockett is getting a little older, and when receivers kind of hit that other side of 30, the production starts to drop a little bit. So I think, Addison for now can step in and be a wide receiver 3 on this team, which is not a slight to him or anything. I mean, that's still very good, but, kind of step into that role opposite DK Metcalf when Tyler Lockett kind of decides to either hang him up or, his production decreases.
Yeah, I got Seattle double dipping on defense. Not only double dipping on defense, double dipping in Georgia. I have them going Nolan Smith edge, just to really bolster up that defensive line. They saw how good you see how good that Georgia defense was. Why not take 2 people from it and really try to build that defense? I could see him going receiver here. The only issue I have, I mean, Quentin Johnston's still on the board for me. I think Jordan Addison just starts to hit that slide unless he really does something to pro day to really blow everybody's mind. I think he slides under guys like Zay Flowers, maybe even the North Carolina receiver name escapes me. Josh Downs, and guys like that, just to get. I mean, maybe not in the first round, but slides under those guys. But in this position, I have Seattle double dipping in Georgia with Nolan Smith to really boost up that defense.
You just want him at 32.
That is true. I really do
want him at 32. I feel the same way. I get it. Trust me, I get it. I wouldn't be upset, but I'd be a little disappointed, honestly. But I have the Seattle Seahawks taking the first inside linebacker, Drew Sanders from Arkansas. Just another defensive piece that would help him out. You got I already have a Tyree Wilson in my mock earlier. Just they could use another defensive piece. Also helps with anything on the defense, honestly. That's from me.
So I have Seattle going with Siaka Ika. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. From Baylor, the defensive tackle. I have them double dipping on defensive line. Cam Smith is a possibility here, but they were 30th against the run. So why not just get a big old hog up the middle and just clog up the middle? That's simply how I thought.
Yeah.
That's an interesting pick.
Number 21, the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah, with the 21st pick, I have the Los Angeles Chargers taking Michael Mayer, the tight end from Notre Dame, and this is one of my favorite picks. I love this for Justin Herbert. Michael Mayer is a beast. He is very good, like you said, Jeff, kind of like a Jason Witten type tight end. And Justin Herbert, I love Justin Herbert. I just hate that his last name's Herbert. That's the only reason. So no, I'm just kidding. The Chargers.
So real quick, Herb, do you own a Justin Herbert jersey?
I do not. It's kind of been in the pipeline. I've really thought about getting one. It's just the whole
because regardless of what happens, even like that's a jersey for you specifically, you could wear forever because it don't matter. Because even if he would have somehow just become hot garbage, sweaty hot garbage fire, or whatever, you could still wear and be like, oh, that's my last name, so you know what? Fuck it.
That would be pretty funny.
And here for the Chargers, I have them adding some help for Justin Herbert as well. I have them, hopefully, this carousel of wide receivers they have coming in and out with injuries This will help it with Quentin Johnston out of TCU. He's just the Chargers receiver mold, tall, can really, is a good pass catcher, but I think he can spread the field more than Keenan Allen and Mike Williams have in recent years. And at least will help, I believe, have a constant receiver out on the field for Justin Herbert to try, whether Keenan Allen goes down again and Mike Williams out for a couple games and whoever the hell they got back there other than those two names escape me. But I think Quentin Johnston can really help out Justin Herbert, really help that Chargers offense development that they desperately need to break through.
Yeah, they're still on the team, right? Keenan Allen and Mike Williams.
Yeah.
Well, Mike Williams got an extension last year.
And I think they just reconstructed Keenan Allen's contract.
So he's not getting cut because they were talking about he was thought about getting cut. I thought that was going to happen personally, but
and then we would have seen 10,000 Steeler fans at Steelers. No, it would have been at Steelers.
They could go receiver here. I just went. It might be a little too high, but I went with the tackle. I went with Anton Harrison, the tackle from Oklahoma. helps out Justin Herbert with that offensive line. One of their tackles, I forgot his name. I think it's Rashawn Slater, if I'm not mistaken, out for the ACL. That's a concern. How is he going to recover? How is he going to play this next season? You see how it affects other players. For example, Devin Bush. Sorry, but other than that, on to the next one.
So I have to agree with Herb here. I went with Quinn Johnston here. And now in my mock draft, I put Keenan Allen might be on his way out. Well, that's apparently not happening now. But yes, they still have Mike Williams. But in that division, you have Kansas City. Denver just got Sean Payton. So that offense should improve. And then obviously we'll see what happens with the Raiders. But they go and they need more offense, and they go and get a guy who can be a red zone threat. He's 6'4" or something, 6'3", 6'4". Now, in my opinion, this is where I personally feel like they should go defense here. Because once again, their defense was not that great. So, and with Khalil Mack most likely being out, in my case, this is where Nolan Smith could possibly come into play. But it's not what I would do. It's what I think they're going to do. And I think they go with Quentin Johnston here.
Makes sense.
Number 22, the Baltimore Ratbirds.
Yeah, so going back to, the conversation we had before the show started about, Eric DeCosta, what he said about the receivers and, Rashad Bateman firing back. And DeCosta said, he's just going to keep trying until he finally hits on one. And that's what he's going to attempt to do right here at number 22. I have the Baltimore Ravens taking Quentin Johnston, the wide receiver from TCU. As much as I do want to see Lamar Jackson get out of our division, because I do want to root for Lamar Jackson full time, I don't see it happening. I think, when they put the non-exclusive tag on him, I think they're going to match pretty much any offer besides if it's fully guaranteed, which doesn't look like any team as of now is going to do that. So I think, I think that they'll take a receiver here to kind of help Lamar out, especially in a new offense with Todd Monken as the OC. And finally, they got rid of what was their offense coordinator's name? I can't remember it. They all hated him though.
I have no idea.
I forget, but he was garbage.
Yeah. Oh,
even though we liked him.
Yeah, we did.
But yeah, no, it's gonna make me mad, so I'm gonna look it up. But yeah, now that he's gone, and Monken, I like Todd Monken, so I think they're gonna do whatever they can to help Lamar Jackson here and bring him back. So.
Yeah, I actually think they go opposite. I think they don't help Lamar at all. I feel like
Greg
they're kind of
Roman,
just.
by the way.
That's what. Yes,
Greg Roman. Yep.
Yes.
I was starting to look it up, and then it just popped up in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have them almost giving the middle finger to Lamar. I have them going with Deontay Banks, corner out of Maryland, with the Chuck Clark trade that just happened to the Jets, and with Marcus Peters looking like he's on his way out. Marlon Humphrey is going to need some help in that secondary, and why not pick a Maryland guy and keep him in Maryland? I love Deontay Banks. I loved him what I saw at the Combine really grew my heart 2 sizes too big. He's just fantastic. Unfortunately, I have him going here to Baltimore, but they really could. I think the smart decision for Baltimore would be go receiver. If they really want Lamar to stay there, they need to help him. I think Rashad Bateman really rubbed the GM the wrong way, and I don't have them going to receiver here.
Yeah, I think that I personally think the GM's not going to do what they say. I personally think I went with Lucas Van Ness from Iowa. You got Calais Campbell, very old, getting on the older side, help that defensive line out. But I think they don't. I don't think they don't help Lamar, even if he stays. I don't think so. I think the GM just going to give you the middle finger and say good luck, pretty much.
Now this is going to be a pick that me and Hunter will absolutely not like at all. And I might give you a hint. I have them going with Jackson Smith and Jigba here, back-to-back wide receivers off the board in mine. And like Hunter mentioned earlier, they need a wide receiver badly. They're going to keep on trying, and I think they do. And I don't know how you guys feel. To me, Jackson Smith and Jigba kind of reminds me of Tyler Lockett. And Tyler Lockett is one of those guys. He's very reliable. He's a guy that can get open. He finds those soft zones. And that's exactly how I feel with Jackson Smith and Jigba. And why not go and get yourself a good receiver to try to add to that offense with Todd Monken being their new offensive coordinator?
Yeah. I don't ever say that ever again, Jeff. But
fuck you. All right, number 23, the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, I wonder what they're going to pick here.
There's supposed to be an obvious answer.
Oh, yeah. For me, it is.
Me and Jarryd are probably on the same
With the 23rd pick, I have the Minnesota Vikings taking Cam Smith, corner from South Carolina. They need a cornerback desperately. Patrick Peterson is just getting older. And besides Patrick Peterson, they're inexperienced, or free agency is going to take a toll on them. They're in an awkward spot, too, though, at 24. There's not really many corners left. They could go Cam Smith or Keely Ringo. But like Herb, I'm not a Keely Ringo guy. So I have them going Cam Smith here.
Yeah, I also have them going Cam Smith here. Like you said, just to double down on it, they desperately need a corner. I do think if there's any top receivers still on the board with the question marks of Adam Thielen, if they're wanting to let go of him and let him trade him somewhere or cut him to see what they can do. But I do have them helping out the defense and going with Cam Smith.
I do have them taking a corner, but it's Emmanuel Forbes from Mississippi State.
Ooh.
I know he's very light. He's not, he's a toothpick right now, but I think, he's a great player. Personally, showed out the combine, did really well. Just flies up into the late first round is how I see it and projected.
So 3 of the 4 of us have Minnesota going with Cam Smith here. They go to the well on corners again. They were 31st on defense and 31st against the pass. They need someone to help out in that secondary.
Great numbers.
Badly.
And I hope they hit.
And also, and it seems like every other year they're going with a corner. They went with Andrew Booth last year. 2020, they went with Jeff Gladney. God rest his soul. 2018, they went. 2018, I believe they went with Mike Hughes. They've drafted 4 corners.
Mike Hughes, a UCF legend. All right, go ahead.
So, yeah. So this will be the 5th corner in a decade that they have drafted in the first round. So, yeah, I just feel like you have to help out that secondary as much as you can if you want to take that team to the next level. Number 24, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, with this pick, I have Jacksonville taking Kalijah Kancey, the D tackle from Pitt, and I think this is would be another great pick for Jacksonville. Jacksonville, they need help on the D line. Especially a D tackle. They have some key free agents at D tackle. So yeah, I think Kalijah Kancey, who had a very, very good combine, just improved his draft stock a ton. I know a couple of you guys, or maybe all of you guys, had him going before this. I can't remember, Jeff, if you did or not.
I did not.
Okay, cool. But yeah, Kancey, I have Kancey going here to Jacksonville again with another good pick. So I think Jacksonville's just going to keep getting better and better.
Yeah, that Jacksonville roster is pretty nice with that young core. With me, I think it's just they go best available here. I have them taking Brian Branch, safety out of Alabama. I mean, to hop on what you said earlier about him, Jeff, the whole Minkah Fitzpatrick comparison, him modeling his play style after him, putting a Minkah Fitzpatrick in Jacksonville would just make their roster even more better.
Yeah, my guy, Brian Branch.
Yeah, Brian, I didn't think about it. Yeah, Brian Branch would be great for the Jags. Well, I know a Jags fan. There are Jags fans out there. He tells me they could use a safety, corner. They could use a defensive lineman or an offensive lineman. I went with the offensive lineman. I went with Osiris Torrance from Florida. Put him at right guard or left guard will definitely help Trevor Lawrence out.
I went with Darnell Washington from tight end from Georgia. It was between him and Dalton Kincaid, and I went with the freak show. This dude was 6'6", ran a 4.65 at 6'6". You want to talk about, so I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I feel like Darnell Washington can have a Rob Gronkowski kind of impact on a team.
Ooh.
That might be a hot take, but I just have this feeling he's going to be a monster in the NFL.
Yeah, I think I like that, Jeff. I think if Darnell Washington goes to Jacksonville and they have that Evan Ingram, Darnell Washington, I think they can be. I think they could be like Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez on the field. I think they both could be very good and as great of a tight end duo as they come.
Yeah.
I really like to specify, on the field.
well, you see, I just had to make sure.
Oh, shit. All right. Number 25, the New York Football Giants, who decided to give Daniel Jones 4 years and $160 million.
Yeah, Jeff. That was how I was going to start off, too. I mean, the Giants are awesome. Just
Idiots.
Incredible move. Watch it, Jarryd. It's such a head-scratching move. But here's the thing. If you're going to invest in a quarterback like that, you better get him some weapons. And here's the thing. After releasing, in my opinion, a top 10 wide receiver in Kenny Golladay, I think that I think they're going to go with Zay Flowers here at 25. And I'm a Zay Flowers fan. I think he's going to be good. And I think he's the next best wide receiver available. I think he's one of them receivers that can sneak his way into the first round. And yeah, I think the Giants, like I said, after releasing a top 10 receiver in Kenny Golladay, they got a draft receiver here and get Daniel Jones some weapons.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at they said top 10 Kenny Golladay.
Well, yeah, Kenny Golladay. Kenny Galladay's awesome, Jarryd.
I know he is, but he's not top 10. I'm sorry.
Fine, he's top 5.
No, God.
But you're right. I do think they go receiver here. And to fill the narrative, I have Jordan Addison still falling. I have Zay Flowers here as well going to New York. Like you said, you pay Daniel Jones all that money, you got to give him somebody to throw to. And I mean, the best receiver in the league, Kenny Golladay, isn't going to get it done as much as I would love to see him do it. But I have Zay Flowers here as well.
Man, I guess we're going 3 for 3. I went with Zay Flowers as well from Boston College. Yeah, I do have Jordan Addison falling as well, Herb, but I don't know if he will be there at 32.
Thank God for me, Jordan Addison is long gone. That's a long thought away. Once again, we are going 4 for 4 like we are at Wendy's with Zay Flowers here. And like we mentioned, they just paid Daniel Jones a shit ton of money for whatever ungodly reason. And then they were the 26th ranked passing offense in the NFL. Why not invest in another wide receiver in Zay Flowers, who he ran a 4.42, which is not bad at all for him at all. And he's one of those guys. He can beat you on all 3 levels. He's a yak machine, and he is electric in space. Number 26, the Dallas Cowgirls.
Yeah, with the 26th pick, I have the Dallas Cowboys taking Keely Ringo, the corner from Georgia. You look at their corner position, besides Trayvon Diggs, they're either always hurt or you can't rely on them. Anthony Brown is coming off an injury-riddled season. I like Trayvon Diggs, I do. I don't think he's the best corner. He gets a lot of interceptions, but I don't think he's a great corner. And I think the Cowboys could shore up on the defensive end here. I also, for you two, I think, you guys said Jordan Addison falling in your mocks. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case, if they would go with a wide receiver here. But I do think, cornerback is more of a need, so I think they'll go Keely Ringo here.
Yeah, I also have them going defense here as well. But I have mine as a little bit of a shocker pick, maybe even a reach. I have Mozzie Smith sneaking into the first round out
I
of
wonder
Michigan.
why.
Yeah,
I wonder why.
I think that Dallas does have need at that defensive line. Did you see how much bench presses he put up? That was insane. I love Mozzie Smith to death, but to see him go to Dallas would break my heart. But I have them going with defensive line and adding Mozzie Smith. I just didn't feel comfortable putting Keely Ringo here or even in the first round.
This also would not be the first time that the Dallas Cowboys drafted a Michigan defensive lineman late in the first round either.
Well, I went with the defensive lineman as well, but I took Brian Breesy from Clemson. He fell all the way down here. Just a great value pick here for the Cowboys. Definitely will help that defensive line. I didn't feel comfortable with the corners I had left. I know Cam Smith is still there. Keely Ringo, I like them. I don't hate them, but I just don't. It wouldn't fit for me with the Cowboys.
This pick was very tricky for me. I went with Drew Sanders from Arkansas. They need a weapon, but the top four, there's a bunch of receivers gone. You have to think a little bit outside the box when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys. And Drew Sanders was a guy, he had 9.5 sacks and 103 tackles. He reminds me of a young Anthony Barr. UCLA and beginning of the career in Minnesota, Anthony Barr. And Anthony Barr, ironically, was there in Dallas. He's 31. Leighton Vander Esch is a free agent. So why not pair him up with Micah Parsons and just be a force on that defense?
You don't even know who Anthony Barr is.
Man, 16 user God.
Yeah, no kidding. You are not lying on that one.
Number 27, the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, so another one of my favorite picks here. I think you guys know where this is heading. I have the Buffalo Bills taking Bijan Robinson here, and I love this pick. I love Bijan Robinson. The Buffalo Bills need to tell Josh Allen to quit running so much and that he can't be their leading rusher every year, or he's going to be out of this league sooner than we think, because that guy loved to take hits. And, one of the things is as even how dynamic of a passing team Buffalo is, you're not going to get anywhere without a run game. And Devin Singletary is just not it. I think the jury's still out on James Cook. He's shown flashes, but I'll tell you what, there's nobody like Bijan Robinson. And I think he has the ability in this situation to step in right away and go crazy in Buffalo.
Yeah, and to add to that, Josh Allen running the ball, I have them adding some protection for him so he can run the ball a little bit more if he wants, but I'd like to see him throw more than before he would take off. I have them going Steve Avila, guard out of TCU. If there's one thing I learned from this Buffalo team was when they played a defense when they played that Cincinnati defense, they could not protect that man. They need to get somebody because they're going to be competing with Cincinnati and Kansas City for more than, as much as I hate to say it, years to come. Just when their defense get better, they need to bolster up that offensive line to help Josh Allen in these playoff scenario moments.
Yeah, well, I like this pick. I'm going to agree with Hunter. I really think they'll take Bijan Robinson here. I think this is like a lock, personally for me, a lock pick for the Bills here. Help that offense. Tell Josh Allen to stop running the ball. You're going to die out there. I'm sorry, not to be mean, but you're going to get yourself hurt.
So I have to agree once again somewhat with Herbert. I agree with the position, but I went with a different player. I have Osiris Torrance here at number 27. Roger Saffold is almost 35 years old, and he's a free agent. And I thought about Bijan Robinson here. But I also think you could get a running back later on in the draft that can help you contribute. Plus, let's not forget, they also drafted James Cook, in the second round last year. But I do want to make a thing about the Bills. As much as we all have been praising Bijan Robinson, and it's very well it should, in my opinion, the better fit would have been Jahmyr Gibbs from Alabama here. So that would have been, if you wanted to be a little bit of a shocker, Maybe Jahmyr Gibbs at 27 to Buffalo. Probably not. But to me, and Herbert and Hunter, I texted you this a couple days ago. Osiris Torrance reminds me a little bit of Larry Allen. And if you can get a Larry Allen kind of player, yeah, turn that card in quick as hell.
Yeah, I like that Larry Allen just giving out Hall of Fame comps to everyone. I mean, that's the thing is I think Jackson Smith-Njigba reminds me of Jerry Rice. So if we're just handing out,
what other Hall of Famer did I give a comp to?
There was someone else you did too. It was the John Randall comp to someone.
Oh, Kalijah Cansey.
Yeah, I was like, dude,
those are the only two.
Yeah, and you kind of made me mad because you didn't tell me Caleb's in the chat right now telling me that I look like Jesse Pinkman off drugs. So, no, that's funny. Who's next? Cincy?
Cincy's next.
Oh, man, you're going to hate me for this one, and I even hate myself for this one. But I love it for Cincy. With the 28th pick, I have the Cincinnati Bengals taking Darnell Washington. The tight end from Georgia. And if you want a home run pick here and just another weapon for the Cincinnati Bengals, I mean, look no further. I mean, instill him. I mean, if you're Joe Burrow and you got Joe Mixon, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and now Darnell Washington, the AFC North is going to be in trouble. And, especially us too. So I think the Bengals are going to need a tight end. Hayden Hurst is a free agent. I think they go Darnell Washington here if he's available. And as much as I hate this pick, it's such a solid pick for Cincinnati.
Yeah, I also thought about going Darnell Washington here. I did go Anton Harrison, tackle out of Oklahoma. Other than tight end being their biggest need, I think they still need to get some help for Joe Burrow on that line. They really had some – when they had some ups, they definitely had their ups. But when they had their downs, they were down. So I have them taking a tackle out of Anton Harrison out of Oklahoma. But if they get Darnell Washington here, it wouldn't surprise me. It would just make that monster even more crazier in Cincinnati.
Oh, I went with the tight end here, but I went with Michael Mayer, the tight end from Notre Dame. Any one of those tight ends that are still there for Cincinnati, honestly, Michael Mayer, Darnell Washington, Dalton Kincaid, I think they're going to take one of them, personally. Just as a matter of who it is.
Jarryd, you are absolutely right. They are going to take one of those tight ends. But who? In this case, it's going to be Dalton Kincaid from Utah. Hayden Hurst and Drew Sample are both free agents. And I've been following some Bengals fans, and they've all been talking about the possibility of drafting a tight end. And it's not a bad idea at all. He reminds me of Dawson Knox. Good hands, great body control, and he's going to be a beast for years to come, especially for the Cincinnati Bengals. Number 29, the New Orleans Derek Carr Saints.
I have no idea with this pick as well. I'm going to be honest here.
Yeah, so with this pick, I have this guy falling a little more than you guys did, but when you look at the Saints and what they're going to need, out goes Marcus Davenport, and in comes Nolan Smith. I have Nolan Smith going here at 29 to New Orleans. Like I said, Marcus Davenport's a free agent, so they're going to need someone to come step right in. And I think in this case, Nolan Smith is still here at 29, and excuse me. I think he's honestly is probably the best player available here after a wonderful combine he had. And I think this is a perfect pick for the Saints, so I think Nolan Smith goes here at 29.
Yeah, I also have an edge going here to the New Orleans Saints. I have them taking Miles Murphy out of Clemson, who's still here on my board. Like you said, Marcus Davenport's coming out. Cam Jordan's not getting any younger. As great as he's playing, there's got to be a drop-off eventually.
Yeah.
They need to add some defensive help on that edge, and I have them taking Miles Murphy.
Going to piggyback off of Herb here. I did also take Miles Murphy. Makes it easier. Just they need the help.
I'm going to piggyback off of no one because I went with Kalijah Cansey here. You got your new quarterback. You were 24th against the run.
Well, you're wrong.
Almost your entire defensive line seems like they're free agents outside of Cam Jordan.
Wrong.
He can get to the quarterback, and like I mentioned before, he reminds me of John Randall. And
Wrong.
they're both undersized defensive tackles, and I don't know what the hell we're laughing at.
Nothing.
But whatever.
Keep going.
No, go ahead.
You know what? Fuck all of you.
Jeff, PG show. My 14-year-old brother is literally watching this right now.
You know what? Whatever. But yeah, no, that's who. I just feel like this would be a very good pickup for the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah.
Number 30, the Philadelphia Eagles once again.
Yeah, so with the 30th pick here, I have the Philadelphia Eagles after missing out on Bijan Robinson by a couple picks. I have them going Jahmyr Gibbs, the running back from Alabama. Miles Sanders is a free agent. I believe Boston Scott's a free agent. I believe most of their running back room is all free agents. I think Miles Sanders is going to expect a little bit higher of a price tag that the Eagles are going to want to pay him. So I think with their second first-round pick, whether it's Robinson or Gibbs, I think that's the pick for Philly here, and they fill a hole that is going to be needed.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely thought about running back here for Philadelphia as well. But for Philadelphia, I've been taking Brian Brzee, who is still on the board for me. I think they go best available. Rich get richer. I feel like this is such a Howie Roseman pick, is going with a defensive line late in the round. Howie Roseman loves his defensive line, but all of them, I believe, are over the age of 30. So he's going to have to get some young talent. Fletcher Cox can help tutor. It's just somebody young needs to step in and start filling that new role, start filling that new regime of young defensive linemen in Philly.
Well, me and Hunter agreed. I went with Jahmyr Gibbs here. Just Miles Sanders. I don't think he's coming back. And that running back room is very small after that. That's why I see with right here. That's the hole that they needed, really. I
have them going with Bijan Robinson here. And how the hell we let this happen, I have no idea. But like you guys mentioned.
You mean you let this happen. It's not we.
You know what?
Yeah, you let this happen, Jeff.
Not we.
I'm talking about in my imaginary draft that is going on where this is happening. So reigning defending NFC champions, they get a hell of a player at 30. To me, he reminds me of Saquon Barkley. And Hunter, I will give you credit on something as well. Back, I don't even know if you remember this, but back a while back ago when we talked about Bijan Robinson, you gave him a comparison to Edgerrin James, or Edgerrin James, however you say it. But to me, I feel like his impact with that Philadelphia team is going to be like how it was with Ezekiel Elliott in 2016 with the Cowboys. I think he's going to have that kind of impact his first year.
Yeah, I agree.
Number 31, the final pick of the very first round.
Yeah, with the final pick in the first round, I have the Kansas City Chiefs selecting B.J. Ojulari, the edge from LSU. We saw them cut Frank Clark over the last couple of days. So I think that's what they're going to target here at the end of the first round, a cheaper, younger replacement. And I like B.J. Ojulari. I'm a big B.J. Ojulari guy, but I do think he falls to the end of the first round, maybe beginning of the second round. But, yeah, I think it's one of the Chiefs' biggest needs here. So I have them taking B.J. Ojulari from LSU.
Yeah, here with Kansas City, it was really hard for me to go, and then I saw this name at the top of the board, and I'd say rich get richer is an understatement. It's Rich cashing in another $1 million lottery ticket with Michael Mayer, tight end out of Notre Dame. I think they could really get a two-headed tight end monster here with Travis Kelce and Michael Mayer.
Like Gronk and Aaron Hernandez.
Like Gronk on field, like Gronk and Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If this happens, just toss up the draft and throw it away because the Chiefs just getting this. I mean, I'm speechless. It'd just be insane.
Yeah.
Well, I did also went with B.J. Ojulari here. They do need someone on that edge, especially with Frank Clark gone. They definitely need the help. They don't need another weapon. Sorry, they need help on defense. They just need help on defense. Really do, personally. They don't need anybody else on offense. They can be fine with the receivers they have, and they'll still be fine.
You know, Jarryd, I agree with the fact that they don't need any more help with weapons, but they do need help on their offensive line.
Mhm.
So they go with DeWan Jones from Ohio
I knew
State.
it. I knew that was coming. You're such a homer, Jeff.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, DeWan Jones, he's a freak show. 6'8", 374, 300 and a whole lot of pounds with 36-inch arms. Now, ironically, it kind of reminds me of Orlando Brown, who now he's a free agent, and he's going to protect Mahomes. And, yeah, he's just going to be a beast for them at that right tackle position for years to come. Well, boys, there it is. Mock Draft 1.0, the Renegade Roundtable Mock Draft 1.0. That was fun. That was a hell of a time. And yeah, this is. I can't wait to do another. We're probably going to do another one the week before the NFL draft. So yeah, that last show before the NFL draft will probably be a Mock Draft 2.0 show.
So that means the four of us will be back together for that show, right?
Yeah.
We can,
All right,
we can make that happen.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fun one.
And then I'm just going to say with the 32 pick, the Steelers are not picking Jordan Addison.
They picked Jordan Addison, wide receiver out of USC.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to say it right here. With the 42nd pick, the Cleveland Browns are taking Jalen Carter, tackle from Georgia.
Oh, look at who decided to come in. We have Mr. J.
Oh,
we got Jarryd Bear. We have Too Sexy for My Herb, Hunter, and then
Hunter X Hunter.
Oh, I guess.
Jay,
I wouldn't expect anything less from Jay.
Oh man, Jay.
Oh boy, but yeah, this was an absolute blast. Again, we'll be doing this again the week before the NFL draft. We'll do our mock draft 2.0, and this is where we will definitely look to see who is correct. Hunter beat me last year, I think by 1. He got me by 1 pick last year.
Well, yeah, I mean, not surprising. Jeff, this is what happens when you compare everyone to Hall of Famers, okay?
I compared 2 out of however many players, a shit ton of players, only 2.
Okay, well, when Anthony Richardson turns into a hybrid of Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Joe Montana, I don't want to hear it.
Oh, boy. Jay says, what we talking about? We just got done doing our mock drafts, and now they just decided to dog shadow me, which is not anything of a surprise.
Kirby said
But, okay, real quick,
Jeff,
before we get on out here.
What is that? Jeff, what is that?
What?
What do you mean Jarvis Jones was going to be better than James Harrison?
Jesus. Oh my God. Jesus. Fucking man.
Jay West Coast, he was talking about how Lima Swede was going to be better than Antonio Brown.
That's okay, because I thought, if we're being honest, if we're talking about Steelers players right now, I thought the best running back in Steelers history wasn't Franco Harris or Jerome.
Oh my God. Don't you do it. Go ahead.
Who do you think I'm going to say?
I don't know.
Because I guarantee you don't know. Say it.
Probably. So I was thinking Bell.
Nope. I thought it was going to be Rashard Mendenhall.
Oh, that would be the next one. Oh my God.
Because I thought Le'Veon was going to take the crown.
I thought so too.
I wouldn't be honest. Isaac Redmond was my book. I really thought he was going to be the best Steelers running back in history.
That's okay. Jeff thought, what's it called? Dante Moncrief was going to be better than Antonio Brown.
Oh my God.
I shit you not. It was probably 2 weeks after Dante Moncrief signed with the Steelers. I bought his jersey.
No, you did
not. I'm pretty sure it's in my attic right now, stuffed away, never to be seen again. I own a Dante Moncrief Steelers jersey.
I have a Trent Richardson jersey. I have a Brady Quinn jersey. Wish I had a Colt McCoy one too.
Do you have a Johnny Manziel jersey too?
I had probably 2 of them, and I had a bunch of Johnny Manziel shirts. When Johnny was drafted, I was 12. And I thought he was like my favorite college football player ever. So when we drafted him, I absolutely lost my shit because I thought he was going to be like the next great quarter. I thought he was our franchise quarterback. And that's a hill I'm still willing to die on today. If Johnny Manziel could have stayed off the party life and off the drugs and going to Vegas using fake names, I still think he'd be our quarterback today.
Chase.
I think the most lethal duo in NFL history would have been Johnny Manziel to Josh Gordon.
Well, Josh Gordon need to stop smoking, man. That's what needing to stop doing.
He's tearing up the XFL right now.
Hey, good for him, man. I'm sure the XFL doesn't care about him doing drugs.
Oh boy. But all right, I do want to say thank you everyone for tuning in. Hope you guys did enjoy this. This was an absolute blast. If you haven't yet, like, comment, and subscribe. Go and follow all of us on Twitter. I am at Jeff_Kirby412. Actually, you can see everyone's Twitter. You go and follow all of us. And so yeah, this is gonna be it's gonna be a fun time, especially now with free agency coming up. If I can, maybe next week I'll do a free agency live stream. I did one of these last year, and it was pretty damn fun. So I might try to do one of those again on Monday. We'll see if I can get out of it. And we'll go ahead and we'll shout out at Jay West. Let's go and shout Jay out. So here you go. But yeah, again, hope you guys did enjoy. If you can, like, comment, subscribe. And until then, hope to see you guys in the next video or next live stream. Stay safe. Peace out.